Boy, did the Tigers need that one. Tigers salvaged the final game of their 3-game set in Cleveland, and with that, they snap an 8-game losing streak. Like I said, the Tigers needed that one. We are underway with our latest edition of MLB Game Night, every game, every night. And here we go.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for a Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Off and running and ready to have a little fun with you. MLB Game Night, every game, every night. He is Lindsay Crosby, host of the Locked On Braves postcast. You can follow Lindsay on the X at Crosby Baseball. I'm Steve Lenox, host of the Locked On Red Sox postcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You can follow me on the X at Lenox on Baseball. Lindsay, the Mets win, the Reds win, the D-backs lose against the Dodgers in the desert, the Yankees and Blue Jays win for the first time in 3 nights. The Yankees do not get help from the Red Sox, and the Mariners able to extend their win streak. Cal Raleigh was kept in the yard. Lindsay, let's get right to it. The Tigers off the top, much needed win. Same record now, 3 games to go with the Guardians in the AL Central. The Guardians do have the tiebreaker, but we'll hear from Justin Latta, Locked On Guardians, in just a moment. But from the Tigers' perspective, they still need to take 2 out of 3. They need some help to win the division. And I think that was the goal, and ultimately they may not reach their goal as AL Central champions here.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that comes into play now is the tiebreaker and how they have to outperform Cleveland. They can't just, they have to win 2 out of 3 this weekend. And that's the bare minimum here, simply because even if, because that tiebreaker does matter. And that's got to be frustrating from where the Tigers were a month ago, thinking this was over. And now they're having to come from behind to take this.
Jahmai Jones led off the game with a solo home run when Sealgar Perez also homered in the first inning for Detroit. Again, 4-2 victory for the Tigers. With that, we get the details from the losing side. The Guardians, well, they did their job. They did take 2 out of 3 in the series. With that, we hear from Justin Latta.
Guardians are 17-3 in their last 20 games. Unfortunately, one of those 3 losses came in Game 3 to the Tigers on Thursday night. Justin Latta here from Locked On Guardians, and this loss is no bigger than any of the other 72 losses that came before it. The only thing that's different about this loss is that it happened on September 25th, which happens to be 4 days away from the end of the regular season, and you're trying to run down and clinch that playoff spot that the Guardians have been so feverishly trying to catch up and grab this month. Parker Messick didn't have his best stuff, left some stuff in the middle of the plate, but overall was not that terrible. The Guardians only plated 2 runs. The only guys that did anything offensively on this game were CJ Kayfus and Jose Ramirez. Austin Hedges had 2 hits, and then a night he gets 2 hits, you'd like to score more than 2 runs. They did not do that. And give Detroit credit. They didn't roll over. They punched back. The Guardians couldn't get anything going. Let's remember this, though. I know a lot of people are nervous going into the weekend that they won't be able to finish the job. This team was dead in the water back in July. Nobody thought they had a prayer of a chance, including myself way back when, even coming into the month. We've not seen this team quit all year. They've played very well. We know nothing rattles them. Take care of business this weekend, and everything will work out. Tune into Locked On Guardians. We're going to go through it all, and we're going to have some positivity going into the weekend.
Detroit off to Boston for a 3-game series against the Red Sox. Their magic number to clinch a playoff berth is at 1. The Guardians do win the season series 8-5, Lindsay, against the Tigers, so we know they have the tiebreaker. They've got Texas this weekend. So, again, they take care of their own business. They're AL Central champions, and the Tigers are going to fight for that final wild card spot, or maybe even number 2 if they can really take care of business. But do you really want Tarek Skubal pitching in the series finale and the regular season finale on Sunday? Because that's the way it's lined up right now with Mize against the Red Sox at Fenway Friday night in the opener.
Ideally, the whole thing for the Tigers, you want to try to get this as quick as you can. You want to win everything. Boston obviously needs wins, though. I think the thing that helps Cleveland here is Texas is farther away from a spot than Boston is. So, yes, both teams are going to be pushing, but Texas is going Texas's whole thing is they're going to stop you from scoring runs, but they can't score runs themselves. And so it's just, yeah.
Riley Green did add a home run, 36 on the season for the Tigers. They hit 3 home runs, all 3 against Parker Messick, who Justin alluded to there as well. Mets and Cubs. The Mets do take the series finale at Wrigley Field, 82nd win of the season for the Mets. With that, we get the details on the winning side from Chris Schubert, Locked On Mets postcast.
Coaster ride for the New York Mets continued tonight. Nolan McLean, clearly the team's best pitcher, got the start, and while the final line will tell one story, he was dominant early on in this game when the Mets needed him to be. 11 strikeouts, just showing off that spin with the slider, spin with the curveball, spin with the sweeper. Just a guy who has the confidence to throw any pitch in any spot, and you saw that in this game tonight. Francisco Lindor, for the second time in his career, joined the 30-30 club. He hit his 30th home run of the season. Brett Baty, homer off of a lefty, and for right now, the Mets still holding on to that third and final wild card spot in the National League, and it all comes down to one series. Miami, a constant thorn in the Mets side since I've been on this earth, 31 years. The Mets, a 1-game lead, 3 games to play in Miami. Can they get it done?
You know, Chris there in the end talks about it. He brings up for me 2007, the year my first son was born. He's only, it's late September. He's less than 2 months old. It's his first Mets heartbreak. And after that, I told him as just an infant, as just a newborn, you, when you get older, can root for any team you want. So Chris understands it as well. Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, both 30-30 seasons. They're not going to mean anything long term if the Mets do not somehow find a way to get in over the weekend.
And everybody's talking about, Miami just got eliminated. Like, they're not that great. Miami and New York have gone 5-5 against one another this year. Like, this is not a given that they win this series. New York's outscored them by 7 runs in the course of 10 games. But I think one of those was a blowout. Like, this is not in any way decided. And I do worry a little bit, even if they do get in, Nolan McLean tonight, seeing how he started to struggle a little bit later, I worry about fatigue with some of these young arms. We talk about it every time we talk about these guys. I just worry that they can't do a full October run as well. So, but they got to get in first.
To your point that you made initially about the Marlins, they're not going to lay down this weekend. They'd love to knock the Mets out. It drove me crazy from when you and I said goodbye last Saturday, and we had a couple of days with John and JD and Brian on the show. But it drove me crazy. Well, the Reds are playing the Pirates. They should win. Well, the Astros are playing the Athletics. No, give credit to the Pirates and the Athletics. Yeah. They showed up this week, and they wanted to be world beaters, and this was their playoff where they could knock a team out of contention. I love the fact that they were able to do that. Everyone else, to me, I called it a lazy narrative all week. Yeah,
and like some of these teams are playing really well right now. Miami is 7-3 in their last 10 games.
Yep.
They may be losing in the standings, eliminated from the postseason, but they're playing well right now. And so you can't count them out. Like you can't just assume you're going to beat them this weekend. And the Mets have to be really careful here.
We heard Chris Schubert, Mets perspective, and again, they take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs at Wrigley Field. We've got Sam Ulber here in just a moment, but Shota Imanaga 9-8 with the loss. His final line did not make it past the 6th inning, but giving up 8 runs in his outing. Let's hear from Sam, as we've had Sam on board with us all season long from Locked On Cubs.
Get beat by a final of 8-5 against the Mets and lose that series. I'm Sam Ulber from the Locked On Cubs podcast. Very newsworthy day. We're going to talk about it on the show tonight with Cade Horton. And then Shota Imanaga came out and pitched very poorly. He allowed 8 earned runs. That's 2 starts at Wrigley Field against the Mets in his 2 years with the Cubs. He's allowed 18 earned runs in those 2 outings. A lot of questions right now surrounding the Cubs rotation with Cade's potential injury. Boyd struggled down the stretch a bit, more than a bit. And then now Shota really has struggled and capped it off with a really rough outing tonight. I still think Boyd and Shota are going to pitch. We'll see what happens with Cade. Otherwise, I thought the Cubs actually played well tonight. Scored 5 runs. Seiya hit 2 huge home runs, which was really important. Probably the biggest story of the night. You feel much better about him now heading into the postseason, finally getting off the home run schneid there, which was huge for him. And Dansby hit a home run ball, and there's some really great plays on defense. Just hard to win when your starter gives up 8 earned runs. Cubs' magic number to host the Wild Card Series still is sitting at 2, so they got to take either 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals at home this weekend or get some help from the Diamondbacks against the Padres. We will see what happens.
So there's Sam from Locked On Cubs. He mentioned the 2 home runs from Seiya Suzuki, now 29 on the season. Mets 4 relievers combining for 3 2/3 scoreless. Again, the Mets close with 3 in Miami. Cubs, as Sam said, 3 this weekend at Wrigley against the Cardinals. As Sam was talking, I had the ending, or at least the top of the 9th inning. Exciting finish for the Reds in their victory against the Pirates in Cincinnati on Thursday. With that, we say hello to the tandem of Jeff Carr, Tim Daniel, Locked On Reds and Locked On Reds postcast as they talk and sing the praises of Mr. Marte.
Well, one play doesn't make you a right fielder, or does it?
Can you believe it? Noel V. Marte makes the play of the 2025 Cincinnati Reds season, Jeff.
That saved the season, period, plain and
100%.
simple. And
No
I
way
know
around it.
Emilio Pagan's going to get the save, but Noel V. Marte deserves
got
the
the save.
save. He had an RBI in this game. The Reds scored twice. He was the reason for at least one of those runs. He was also the reason that the Pirates didn't get another one.
Yeah, unbelievable catch. Feet away from us, mere feet.
And we're done with home games for the regular season. But are we?
Are we back
We're
in?
done with the regular
Are we
season.
back in?
I think we're back.
All right.
I think we're back in.
We're back
because
in. We're back in. It's
The
fine.
Mets are going to lose tonight. We're going to say it.
Dodgers
Diamondbacks
are up big
losing
right now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do it. We're back. 3 more games the rest of the year.
Let's do
Here
it.
we go.
Well said, gentlemen.
I believe we call that manifesting. They're manifesting is what that is.
Yeah. Marte had the catch, robbed Brian Reynolds of the home run in the top of the 9th inning. That was out number 2. Emilio Pagan got out number 3. Great catch, fully extended over the wall. And I think I'm going to go back now. I've already seen the catch numerous times. Now I want to see if I can get Jeff and Tim somehow in the picture. Just imagine if we had 2 Locked On hosts part of that and maybe, tried to grab it or take it out of the glove or something. I shouldn't even think about that. Should get that out of my memory altogether.
Yeah, they're not Yankees fans. They're not going to rip a ball out of a player's glove. But like the whole thing for Marte, third baseman. They moved him to the outfield mid-season this year. This is after he was suspended for a PED suspension last year. So nice little comeback story there for him, finding a way to contribute to a team. And they're that close to the postseason. They've got a tiebreaker over the Mets. They just have to catch them.
We're going to move Dodgers Diamondbacks to segment number 2. In segment number 2, the Yankees able to pull off a sweep against the White Sox. But for the first time in 3 nights, they do not get any help from their rival, the Boston Red Sox. That's next. It's MLB Game Night.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I like to bet. Whether it's player props, I'm in the mood for a same-game parlay, or even just jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether I'm watching my team, I'm keeping an eye on my fantasy lineup, or I have no rooting interest and I just want something that's quick, easy, and a good way to add a little more energy to my Sunday. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
MLB Game Night, every game, every night. Glad you're with us. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. He is Lindsay Crosby. I'm Steve Lenox. And Lindsay, Mets won. Reds won. I woke up Thursday. Shame on me. Didn't realize that Diamondbacks were also in the mix there as well for the third wild card. But they lose on Thursday. 8-0 victory for the Dodgers in the series finale. And the Dodgers do win the series after dropping the opener to the Diamondbacks Tuesday night. LA 4 in the second, 4 more in the fourth inning. They've now won 6 of 8. I had good timing today because I saw the Marte catch in the Reds game in the 9th inning on MLB Network. I also saw Shohei Ohtani hit number 54. 2-run shot in the fourth inning. That one happened to land in the pool in right center field at Chase Field in Arizona.
It's always kind of fun to see everybody just dive into the pool trying to get the ball. A couple of different places have that. The thing that's wild to me is Shohei's hit 54 home runs in 2 seasons, like 2 straight seasons for the Dodgers. And it feels like these 2 seasons are completely different because last year was the homers and the stolen bases. This year's been him getting into form on the mound. And I'm really curious to see how they use him in the postseason, because theoretically they have enough starters. Do they use him in relief?
Right.
Do they let him start? Do they have him play in the field? He talked about maybe being an outfielder a little bit. Curious to see what happens. But he also got help from other guys. Freddie Freeman had 2 homers today, a solo shot and a 2-run homer. And Yamamoto was fantastic again, as he's been all year.
Ohtani, I think I mentioned it to you last weekend. I think it was at 141 runs. And on the broadcast, they say, well, he's going to get a couple more home runs, so he's going to drive himself in a couple of more times. And he did that with his 54th home run on the season. As you mentioned, second straight year with 54. Dodgers are getting their money's worth with Shohei Ohtani. But he has scored 144 runs this season. That, to me, is just an amazing number for the Dodgers designated hitter / probably MVP and pitcher in the postseason.
It's one of those things. There's no way to make an argument that anybody else in the National League's the MVP over Shohei Ohtani, simply because he's doing all of this and he's still a pretty good pitcher. And it's just, at this point, I'm not surprised. There's nothing he could do on the field. I'd be like, yeah, I did not expect him to do that. He can make a diving catch, and he could go rob somebody in right field, and I wouldn't be shocked.
One of those, imagine what could have been. Dodgers 3 in Seattle this weekend. They both pretty much got everything locked up and secured. Just playing out the stretch right now. D-backs, again, still in the hunt for that third wild card. They do close with 3 at San Diego. Okay, White Sox, Yankees wrapping up their series in the Bronx. Yankees pull off the series sweep as they take the finale. They've now won 5 in a row. Let's get the details from one of our co-hosts of MLB Game Night and one of the hosts of Locked On Yankees. With that, we say hello to Brian McKeon.
Boy, as we get closer and closer to the end of the year, every win feels more and more important for the New York Yankees. I'm Brian McKeon from Locked On Yankees, and that's exactly what they did on Thursday night. The decision to move Carlos Rodon up in his start and have him start on Thursday to sweep the Chicago White Sox potentially worked out. They sweep the White Sox in a game that wound up becoming a must-win because the Toronto Blue Jays won north of the border. They lost 2 out of 3 in their series against Boston, but still were able to get the victory. And now, heading into the final series of the year, the Yankees and the Blue Jays are tied for the final AL East seed. And this game was key, too, because the Yankees were able to clinch the wild card being at home. So, whichever team doesn't win the American League East will wind up hosting the American League wild card. Also key. So you guarantee those games in the Bronx, and if you win the division, the whole American League runs through the Bronx.
I know win-loss record, take it or leave it, but Rodon does pick up his 18th win on the season. As Brian said, they moved him up 6 innings, 3 earned runs, struck out 5, gave up a home run to Michael A. Taylor. Giancarlo Stanton put him up 4-3 with a 3-run double in the 5th inning. They're certainly going to need his bat in the postseason. But the Yankees have won 5 in a row, 29 wins now over their last 41. With that, 23 games over 500. That's a season high 23 over for New York.
Yeah, they're 8-2 right now, and they get Baltimore this weekend. Baltimore's not been. I mean, they're 6-4. Baltimore is 6-4 in their last 10, but they're still having a nightmare season. And New York gets them at home, which I think is a big deal here. Whereas you look at Toronto, we're going to get there in a little bit, but Toronto is at home against Tampa Bay. I feel better about Tampa Bay doing some damage than I do about Baltimore doing some damage. It's just, this is such a fun matchup. I wish they were playing each other to end the season.
Yeah, very much so. Let's get into Red Sox Blue Jays. The Blue Jays take the series finale by a score of 6-1. It was scoreless until the bottom of the 6th inning. Brian Bayo allowed the first 3 to reach. He was yanked from the game. Justin Wilson facing Dalton Varsho. There's your game. 1 swing of the bat, grand slam. George Springer adds a 2-run home run as well. So the Red Sox magic number to clinch a playoff spot is still at 1 because they needed either an Astros loss. We'll get into Astros athletics here after this one. Or they needed to win in Toronto. That did not happen. So Blue Jays hold the tiebreaker over the Yankees, but in watching the Blue Jays on the NESN broadcast, on the Red Sox broadcast over the 3 days, it seems like it's doom and gloom for the Blue Jays. They can still win the division, but Barrios has been put on the IL. Chris Bassett's not available right now. They still don't have Bo Bichette, but this is a team that's had a great stretch in the second half of the season. This is a stretch right now where they're just kind of hitting a bump in the road. I still like them to make a good run in the AL playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost 6 of their last 8, and that's exactly the reason why everybody's freaking out is because I'm one of those people that like every game matters the same. It doesn't matter whether it's April or whether it's now, but you feel the impact of each individual game now. And watching a lot of these games tonight, it felt like playoff baseball. Like, it felt like playoff baseball all over. And Toronto is, if this was playoff baseball for them, they'd be on the verge of being eliminated. And I think that's just what's coming through on the broadcast.
And the Blue Jays did go with a bullpen game, and they retired 18 in a row to start. The Red Sox,
a combined perfect game.
Yeah, the Red Sox were down 6-0 before they got their first base runner and first hit of the game. Jarren Duran led off the seventh. His only hit of the series, a double. He scored on a base hit by Trevor Story. But, they took care of business. But again, with the Blue Jays, Jeff Hoffman was a little shaky in the ninth inning, ended up leaving the bases loaded, was behind 2-0 on Romy Gonzalez. He popped up on the infield for the final out. But as you mentioned,
side of that,
yes,
Trevor Story's throws to first base have been a little shaky in the last couple of days. It's almost a bad time to have some defensive issues come up.
Yeah, and they asked him after the game if he's got any elbow or shoulder issues, and he hesitated at the beginning, but I think he was looking for his wording, and he assured the media that he's okay. It's just, he's in a fielding funk right now, or a little bit of a slump right now, but you don't want that getting too much into your head between the ears of where's this throw going. But a lot of his throws right now, he's had time, but he's sailing them almost into the runner coming up the first base line from home plate. And it's been a couple of dangerous scenarios that have not played out where either the first baseman or the runner gets injured.
Yeah, it was, I think the one that I noticed today was the throw trying to get Vlad, and Vlad slides under the tag and everything. And it's just, I keep thinking about, who else, like, if you can't trust Trevor Story in the postseason, who are you going to throw in at shortstop?
No, he's there. You're not, it's not Anthony Volpe.
It's got to be him. Yeah.
It's not Caballero. And really the one thing I thought about after he made that one is like, just give him a day as a DH. He has played day in, day out. There have been no off days for him and Alex Bregman for quite a while. So Red Sox magic number does stay at 1 because, West Coast baseball and a day game in West Sacramento, the Astros do take the finale 11-5. With that, they avoid the series sweep against the Athletics. Houston ending a 5-game losing streak. So they're still in the mix, but they're going to need some things to happen here over the weekend in order to get back in front of either the Tigers, what could be the Guardians, or possibly even the Red Sox, although I don't know that they catch the Red Sox for that number 2.
Probably not. Really good bounce back start for Framber Valdez. 7 innings, 7 hits, 1 run. He got beat up last time he was out there. And then Christian Walker getting 3 RBI. Isaac Paredes felt like he never really got going again when he came back from the leg injury. But getting that offense going, especially since they're probably not going to have, it's like some of their reinforcements they were counting on is a big deal. So hopefully the Astros can make it happen. I have questions about, hey, you have to take on the Angels in LA. And for some reason, that's just been a struggle for the Astros this year. So we'll see what happens this weekend.
Mariners able to extend their win streak, but Cal Raleigh did not homer, and the Phillies needed just 1 in beating the Marlins. We'll have the details next. It's MLB Game Night.
Fellas, you've likely heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time you met Rougiette Go Long. Because this isn't just another 80 pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications into 1 dual-action formula, so you can go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is super simple and 100% online. You connect with a board-certified doctor. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. So if you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, head to Rougiette.com. That's Rugiet, Rougiette.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's Rougiette.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know where you're coming from.
Lindsay, let's open up segment number 3. Rockies, Mariners in Seattle wrapping up their series. The Mariners able to pull off the series sweep. With that, they've won 7 in a row. 6-2 the final. Eugenio Suarez, 2-run home run in the second, RBI single in the 5th inning. He's now got 49 home runs on the season, 13 with the Mariners, 117 runs batted in. I give the Mariners all sorts of credit because they celebrated Wednesday. They come back on Thursday. Maybe it was because of the Rockies. But even with maybe some cobwebs, they still pick up a series.
Yeah, you can tell the cobwebs kind of got to some guys. Randy Rosarena had a terrible idea trying to get 30 steals, right? 4th inning, He's on first. Rallies up to bat. He steals second. And so they just intentionally walk out. They're like, we're not even going to pitch to you in this situation.
Yeah.
And if Randy's on first base, they may not do that. So just kind of some of the fans in Seattle booed. They knew what was going on. They booed when it happened because they were like, come on, Randy, you're killing us here.
Of note for me in this game, Brian Wu was supposed to start in this game. Emerson Hancock gives him 4 scoreless, gives up just 2 hits. Again, it's against the Rockies, but he walks no one and strikes out 7. I kind of, as I was reading his line, I was kind of thinking he'll put up some good innings in the postseason. Maybe it's not in the starting role, but in a reliever role. We're going to talk about Walker Buehler, Taijuan Walker again for the Phillies here in just a moment. But you're going to need guys that can give you, whether you have a big lead or you're a deficit where you want to give yourself an opportunity to maybe get back in that game. Emerson Hancock, to me, spells one of those guys. You're down 6-2 in a ball game. He can keep it there, and you can try to inch back into the game.
The stuff is good, which I think is huge for the postseason. You have to be able to get swing and miss in the postseason. But the big thing for me on this outing is no walks. And when he's gotten in trouble, it's because he's given up free base runners, and then teams have cashed those in. So seeing this outing, short notice, he makes a start, gives them multiple innings, doesn't walk anybody, gives me hope that when they pull a starter early in the postseason, which they probably will, a lot of their guys have had injury concerns, he can be the piggyback and can come in and give them quality innings and keep a win secured.
7 straight wins, 17 of the last 18. They're doing it with pitching and offense. 3 runs or less now allowed 14 times in 18 games, and also 5 or more runs 12 times in that same 18-game stretch. If they can keep this balance, pitching, offense, defense for the postseason, I want to believe that they're going to get to the World Series for the first time. But they're going to have to knock off some teams on their journey, which, of course, we know. That's a Captain Obvious statement right there.
Yeah, it's going to be – the AL playoffs are going to be fun because I really don't think there's just a super team in the AL. Like the National League, everybody's looking at the Brewers, looking at the Dodgers. There's not that team in the American League. Seattle has good as chance as anybody.
8 home runs, 11 runs total for the Phillies on Wednesday night. 1 run, and they made it stand up with an RBI ground out in a victory against the Marlins on Thursday. Connor Thomas, Locked On Phillies, on board with us all season long. He's got the details.
Phillies shut out the Marlins for yet another win. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies, and the game didn't mean all that much to the Fighting Phils. I mean, they still have a very outside chance at the number 1 overall seed in the National League, but it's still nice to see the team win. And it was really nice to see the pitching that they got tonight out of the tandem of Walker Buehler and Taijuan Walker. A little piggyback action with a rain delay mixed in after that, but Walker Buehler went 5 shutout innings. Taijuan Walker came in out of the pen and looked solid, and the guys weren't perfect, but they show you why they can both be weapons in October. Now, I don't know if either of those guys start a game when it comes to the postseason, but I do know that if you want to throw somebody for a couple of innings out of the bullpen, they're both viable options, and it's good to have those options. The Phillies are learning more about who they can use in October, and they're winning ball games while they're at it. We'll talk more on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
Walker Buehler was a pickup. DFA'd just before the trade deadline by the Red Sox. They did him right, where they did it a couple of days before that deadline where he was postseason eligible when he signed with the Phillies organization. But 3 games, 2 starts, 3 victories for Walker Buehler. Him and Taijuan Walker, again, they can help you huge. They may not start, just like Connor said, they may not get a postseason start, but they could certainly be a big part of it. And Walker Buehler, we know what he did last year with the Dodgers. He's got some experience here that I think could pay off huge for the Phillies.
Yeah, he has that stuff. He's also trying to get stretched back out. He went out into the bullpen and threw more pitches after he came out of this game. So he's trying to be available to be a starter if they need it. But either way, his postseason experience last year is huge. And we've seen him, even this version of him, be successful out of the pen like we did in the World Series last year. So great pickup by Philly. I understand why they wanted to go there. I understand why he wanted to join their squad.
Orioles, Lindsay out hit by the Rays 15-9. Orioles win the game 6-5. Dylan Beavers home run in the bottom half of the ninth inning after Kobe Mayo tied it up at 5-5 with a 2-out 2-run home run in the eighth inning. Want to give you this one and get your thoughts on it because we've touched on it multiple times. Orioles had no walk-off victories through their first 58 games. Thursday, they're 6th in their last 23. I don't know what that means. It's not carrying over into 2026. But the Orioles have been feisty, and I say that knowing they play the Yankees this weekend. I guess I leave it there and throw it to you.
That's the randomness of baseball sometimes, right? It's like it's the little things that can swing a season. I look at Atlanta's record in one-run games. This is something. If they had gotten a couple walk-offs in those first 58 home games, maybe they're a little closer at the trade deadline or something. It's just the randomness of baseball. I'll take the next one. Twins at Rangers. Twins took 2 of 3 in this series. They won 4-0. Byron Buxton, leadoff first pitch home run off of Tyler Mahle. Only run that the Minnesota got off of Mahle, but Buxton came around, also hit a 3-run home run in the 8th. He now has 34 on the year. He's got 19 career leadoff home runs and 10 this season. And then Bailey Ober, 6 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts to get the win. They have to take on the Phillies in Citizens Bank Park this weekend.
Royals 9-4 victory in the finale in Anaheim against the Angels. Bobby Witt Jr., 4 hits. Vinny Pasquantino, 2-run home run, 32nd on the season. That came in the first inning. Salvador Perez in the 9th inning, a 3-run double, joining Pasquantino as Perez now 100 or more RBIs in his 3rd straight year. Watch that on MLB Network. Mike Trout did homer in the 8th inning. 401 for Trout, number 23 on the season. And Joe Adell, get on base in front of Joe Adell this weekend. 97 runs batted in. Want to see him get to the century mark.
I would love for him to get that. Young player who really struggled early and figured it out, has had a great season. Let's get him there. And I'm just happy to see Mike Trout back to hitting home runs. He sat on 399 for way too long. He didn't sit on 400 for that long.
Hey, we are back at it, Lindsay and I, with our latest edition of MLB Game Night, Friday night into Saturday morning, and we are taking you through the postseason as well, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Don't forget to tell your friends all about us. MLB Game Night, every game, every night.